Om Swamiji. Swamiji, does Vedanta make one lose interest in regular everyday life?
Vedanta does make one lose interest in everyday life, but only in the stuff that are unnecessary or unwanted. And if it is unnecessary or unwanted, then it is better I'm disinterested with regard to them. So, Vedanta, in the process of self inquiry, during the course of self inquiry, so it helps me decide what is unnecessary and unwanted. And how does the Shastra do it? In the Mandukya Upanishad, the methodology that is followed is analysis of the three states of experience: the waker, dreamer, and deep sleep. And there it is very clearly brought out that the waker, the reality of the waker, is no better than the reality of a dream. In the sense that even in my waking state, most of the time I spend in my own subjective reality that I have created for myself, the subjective world that the mind has created for itself. The subjective world, which is full of my own desires, emotions, so aspirations, goals, and the mind concludes that the subjective world is very real. And when it is excessively focused on the subjective world, it loses sight of the real purpose, the bigger picture. So, that subjective world that I have created for myself also is only as real as a dream. Because the joy that I get or the experiences that I have in my subjective world, they are very short lived. And then I keep chasing one experience after another. So the Shastra says that the reality is much bigger than what I have restricted myself to. And all my attention, so that is just focused on the subjective world. So when this is just a dream, then naturally it is good for me that I lose some interest in the dream. Because when I wake up from a dream, then I don't give much importance from a dream for a dream. It's very easy for me to dismiss the dream. And when I gain self-knowledge, then I'm able to dismiss my subjective world also as a dream. So naturally, I will lose interest in that subjective world. And this losing interest is good for me. So that is one place where the Shastra clearly brings out that what I'm interested in at this point is not really as worthwhile as I imagine it. And even when we look at the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna in two places. So he advises us to be indifferent. That is, not place too much importance in what we do. In the 9th chapter, so Lord Krishna says that with regard to himself, any activity that he does it with a certain detachment or a disinterest. So he is indifferent with regard to all the activities that are performed by him in terms of the outcome or the result of that activity. So he does not depend upon the result of that activity to make him happy or sad. So he advises us also, Arjuna there in the Bhagavad Gita, to also be indifferent or be disinterested in activity, not be more interested than necessary in activities, because activities are just a means to an end and not an end in themselves. So that it doesn't mean that being disinterested would amount to being irresponsible, because that is not the case. So there he says, not be more interested than necessary. So not look at activity and results as an end in themselves, but they're just a means to an end. And again in the 14th chapter, Lord Krishna says that one of the traits or characteristics of a wise man is to remain disinterested or indifferent to the gunas. The whole universe is made up of gunas, and all activities are also within the world of gunas. And there he says that a really wise man would be indifferent to gunas, which means that a really wise person would not give more importance to gunas than it is necessary, because the reality is something else. And the gunas are just incidental. The experience that are given by the gunas, so that come because of that we have because of the gunas. So they are just incidental. So there a wise man is indifferent or disinterested with regard to the. And if it is the characteristic or trait of a wise man, then naturally it is a trait that a seeker should be aspiring for. And what we should remember here is that one need not be scared of losing interest in the relative world, because it will not amount to ignoring my duties or responsibilities, but it will only give me a proper perspective as to what activities are important and worthwhile, and what are unnecessary and can be ignored. So it would not be losing interest in an irresponsible way, but it would be losing interest in a very meaningful way because I'm focused on what is really important and what is not helpful for me to proceed in this direction. That I should definitely be disinterested. So that is the way we look at it. So Vedanta does make me disinterested, but disinterested only in what is unnecessary or unknown.
Thank you so much, Swamiji.